Let's get the ball rolling.
Oh, yeah.
It's what's today, July 15th? 14th? What, yeah, 15th. The Ashland Building Committee. Quick roll call. Tom is here, Ken is here, Greg is here, Nolan is here, I am here. And I don't believe Ken or Catherine are out on Zoom. You guys out there?
I'm right here.
Ken, what did I say? Oh.
Ken or Catherine.
Catherine or Peter, I'm sorry. And Catherine, Peter likely won't be here and Catherine be a little bit late, so. Minutes of, let's see, June 5th. Any comments on the minutes of June 5th?
Yeah, there was one, the first motion in the minutes didn't say what the motion was. It was a motion to approve payment of the invoice.
Okay.
I mean, I think that was my recollection. We approved payment of the invoice.
Oh, yeah, motion was made, Peter seconded by Greg, but we never mentioned what the motion actually was for, correct?
So we say motion to approve payment of the invoice.
Anything else? Tom, Greg, Nolan?
I'll move that we accept the minutes as revised.
Favor?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Great. OPM update.
All right. Everyone, Scott Luke here, CMS. Nice to see everybody. Hopefully everyone had a good Fourth. We've been continuing communication with Mass DOT for the gas service across MacArthur Boulevard. We've been talking to Paul Kingston over there. We know we have to get an access permit. We have a checklist of items that we need to get as part of that permit application, which would be done through the town's SHAPS account, SHAPS account. So we'll be working with ASA and once we have some of the final documents from Greg, like for example, a site plan, and we'll put that together and get that application in. Any questions on that?
I've opened that SHAPS account.
Okay.
And I have started, I've initiated the permit for that.
Okay.
It's a little weird because they have sort of like a liaison that helps you through that. And she initiated the permit as like an access permit, like a roadway access permit. And I told her, I said, no, this is like a utility access permit. This isn't we're not providing, there's no traffic access or anything here. So just so you guys know does Paul Kingston, does he understand? He should understand what we're trying to do at this point, right?
I believe so, because we kind of answered all the questions that he had. We told him that we didn't think there would be an impact to the traffic because we're going underground.
Right.
Tree mitigation stuff is probably somewhat minimal.
Yeah.
We may have to kind of reiterate that and just, and then, but that's good to know that it started and maybe.
And I've signed off, I basically gave you guys,
On your
right to work on behalf of the town.
Yep. Okay.
Signed off on that, so.
All right, well, maybe we'll work over the next week for us to get in there and look through it and see what we can put together.
It could impact traffic by their rules. I know I've done roadway signage before.
Right.
And that made us do the lane closure just because you didn't have trucks there.
Yeah, off the shoulder.
Yeah.
Just mulch over them?
Yeah, exactly.
This would be both sides too, right? I mean, they're gonna have to have people.
Well, I think we're gonna be so far beyond, depends where we pop out, right? Because there's a big buffer there between the northbound lane, I think it's almost 200 feet in the edge of the state highway layout. So
It's enough for them to be in.
but I think we're gonna be beyond the state highway layout, so we're gonna, I think you're right on the southbound lane where we hook into the gas. There's gonna have to be some kind of signage there, or some kind of traffic management plan. But I think on the other side, we're actually gonna be, 200 feet into the woods, basically on our site. We could probably put the shot right through onto the site and not even affect the state highway layout. Because if we do, then we're gonna have to start clearing trees. They talked about possibly trenching through the woods, but then you have a whole section of trees, and it's like, if we can just shoot straight past the trees and hit the site beyond the trees, that would be like the way to do it, I think. It's gonna cost more, but it'll be, I think, a little bit less exposure to Mass Highway or Mass DOT. But Greg's definitely right. They're gonna want some kind of traffic management plan on the southbound side for sure. So,
Do we need a consultant for that? Do you have a consultant?
I would think SMMA would be familiar with that.
Yes.
We've done, SciTech Environmental, our civil consultants for the rest of the landfill. Me personally have done traffic management plans for Mass DOT in the past. So I think they'd be able to handle it. There's just a lot of standard detail type stuff.
Right. And then the other update, or just it was on the agenda, is to go over the RFP process we did for testing services, for construction testing. We put together an RFP, sent it out to four firms that we've worked with before. We got 3 proposals back. We got proposals back from UTS, Briggs, and GCI. GCR is already doing the geotech through Greg, and Yankee Engineering, they didn't submit. Based on, if you, I don't know, I'm sure, no, I'm not hooked up, but just in terms of the process and how we asked them for unit prices for the various types of testing. We asked them for, unit pricing for each type of sample, half-day rates, full-day rates, hourly rates. And ultimately, Briggs Construction, I believe they're out of Norwell. They've worked at the DPW for you guys, right?
Mhm.
On that project. They were slightly cheaper than GCI by like $3,000, but I think.
I think that's a correction. Look at the spreadsheet. I sent that email out. The delta is about $240.
Okay, I didn't
One
see
of the
it.
things that if you look at the spreadsheet, there was a unit price for a day thing, which was supposed to be $75, but you put in $1,400. So
Oh,
if you multiplied it by 2, that's where you're getting. So it's $240 delta.
so they're actually
And
right
so,
there.
with that said in mind, you haven't asked my opinion, I would say go with GCI since they're already on, they're working for us, and because it's $250 is not
And that's all kind of unassumed, volume, unit and quantities, or so it's like.
Exactly.
I couldn't go.
But the fact that you're currently working to get so they should be intimately familiar with the site by the time we get the building going.
Yeah, and sort of everybody knows, we went with GCI for the fill placement as well prior to that, but we'll probably end up sticking with GCI right through the whole thing. That way it's all.
I think it makes sense to do the same company.
Yeah.
Well, it's comfortable with the soil stuff, basically.
We're gonna find out this week.
Developing the Proctor and stuff that we had over
Yeah,
Coming out Friday.
likely Friday. So I dug a sample out of the retention basin. And I tried to mix up a column of soil about 10 feet deep and took a sample, and it didn't meet their spec for like structural fill. And they were concerned about being able to compact to 95% maximum density. I mean, I went back and looked at the DPW. We used the exact same material at DPW. We've used it on site here. It's the material that the building would sit on if we built the building at grade. You know, so we're gonna do a test strip on Friday. I pushed out, maybe 500 yards of material and we're gonna do a test strip on Friday, get GCI down. Probably do another Proctor, do compaction testing and just make sure that, I'm confident we can get, the stability that we need, the compaction that we need. But we're gonna do sort of a real life, test on that, so.
Yes, I know you want GCI to do all the future work as well, but I assume they'll be open bidding for that future work, just to keep their price honest. I mean, we're probably required to do that.
Well, that's what they did.
Yeah, we've done that.
Yeah, no, I know for this, but isn't there some future work that we're gonna bid out, or is this it for them?
The way we wrote the RFP was for the whole project,
Oh, I see.
so
Okay.
we can use them for. And we need to have three prices, which we have.
Yeah, this was like steel, concrete, it was everything. It was the
Okay.
whole
I
list.
just understood $250 is pretty insignificant.
Yeah, I think, I think the bottom line was $120,000, but all on sort of assumed quantities, the quantities
Right.
might change a little bit either way, so.
Almost like they're talking to each other when it comes out within $250.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like.
They all know each other's rates.
Yeah, right.
They do.
But they just, to your point, doing the test strip on Friday, I think it's a great investment of time and money. Just because the last thing we need to do, and I'm sure it's gonna work out, based on what you showed me on the DPW.
Yep.
And this, is, because I don't think anybody on this committee wants to be sitting here a year and a half from now, 2 years, asking us, why is ACES building something of their own, and it's snapped the slab, and we've settled at one end, but not at the other end. That usually doesn't go over very well in a new building.
We have experience with this, in the whole landfill world and the site world, and I'm pretty comfortable, in this arena, and I think we're gonna be just fine, so. But, still gotta get the numbers and gotta make everybody comfortable with geotech.
But we have to.
What's that?
Do we have to vote to hire Briggs or?
I don't think so, no. No, it's gonna come in under Greg anyways, that was kind of under his contract. So that was one of the line items as a billable item. But we have the backup and we know that everything is pretty much right there, so. Kind of makes sense to keep everything in-house. Under the same umbrella.
But Craig, to answer your question, I think Friday will tell how everything comes together. But again, I think we're all optimistic that there shouldn't be any problems. But as you know, engineers and architects like to run those numbers.
Oh, everybody needs a level.
For that reason, bringing another, these guys do the test, it's good, you bring in another company and they say it's no good. I've had that happen.
Yeah, right, and then you end up, yeah.
So
Yeah.
having the same company, it's data all through the project.
Yeah. Alright.
That's all I have, unless any quick questions on anything else.
Anybody?
Just one thing on the budget update that got sent out. Not the budget update, I guess was the backup for that and the wrong. The Peabody that are Bourne. Oh, I want to just have that corrected for the record.
We definitely will do that. See if we can correct it here. Thank you.
Greg, I think you're up.
Okay, well, the first thing I'll do is I'll start with the work plan. The last work plan we did was 4/18/25. This is now 7/14/25. April, May, and June, pretty much the same. October, November, December, January, February, exactly the same. And so the big shuffle that happened this is the July, August, September timeframe. Basically, what we've done is we've narrowed down the the application for the ZBA, the planning board, working with the Board of Health, which will have to apply there, but it's not necessarily a hearing. And so we plugged in some of the dates and times that will be happening. This morning, we had a internal staff meeting with the town's representatives. And we believe that the design was well received. I mean, they didn't seem to have any questions. Now it's just the formality of going through the process. So basically, the update is happening in July, August, September, as far as the work plan goes. And it's just refining the dates and times. One of the things that will be coming up kind of fast and furious is the pre-qualification process. So in the next week or so, I will forward the pre-qualification process package for the town's review and CMS's review. For those of you who don't know, under Massachusetts public procurement for construction, any project that's over 10 million has to be pre-qualified. So it's a standard process. Everybody does it. We'll be automating most of it. So the takeaway from it is it needs 4 members. 1 member is the OPM, 1 member is the designer, and then you have 2 representatives from the awarding authority. So I will let you all decide who wants to do it. And 2 members could be all of you, and you might split, say like half of you, some of you do the electrical, mechanical, plumbing, some of you do the masonry, roofing, and you can break it out any which way you want. We're anticipating based on current trends, and we will probably see between the general and the subcontractors about 120 to 165 pre-qualification packages. Because I know that we just recently did a job, not us personally, but bid docs using fire station, and they had 165 pre-qualifications. The good news is a lot of it's automated now. So then we'll get into more of those details. The package is pretty generic. It's set by DCAM, the regulations and what's required in which categories. The only thing that we can do is kind of shuffle the points around. So for example, management might have 30 points in it. And then there's like 4 categories, 5 categories that we have to break them down into. Scott and I have done this dozens of times, so we're familiar. We're going to make a recommendation on the score. Like, for example, one of the questions they ask is a credit reference. Well, last time I called Jamie Diamond to ask about ACE's credit report, he hung up the phone on. But usually we score that 0 as long as they have credit references. Where we put more emphasis on the project experience type that you've had in the past, references obviously are very high. And then there's some of the more technical things like revenue, projects under construction and everything. And again, we worked out algorithms and everything that we will present to the committee. We can all review them. If you want to get involved individually, you can do it as well. But it's just a process we have to go through. The solicitation, we'll have to do it in the central register. It will go out on the street for like 2 weeks. Proposals will then come in. And we usually tell you, if you're really ambitious with the automation and stuff, you can probably get it done in about 2 days, 3 days. But realistically, you usually need like 2 to 3 weeks. What will happen then is we'll come back, whoever works on the scoring, or if it's Scott and I, or however we do it, then we will come to the committee, make a recommendation on who we think should be pre-qualified. And at that point, we would ask the committee to just vote if they so choose to say, these are the pre-qualified contractors you want. The reason we need that list is because under the statute, we have to include that list in the bid documents. So it's a process, it's, in the paperwork, but I think it's been streamlined, so it's pretty easy now. And again, the committee can be as involved or as, fewer involvement as they want on it. But it's just the process that we do have to go through to meet the statutory requirements. Other than that, again, we will be going through the DD submissions and the SD submissions. As you all know, the big go or no-go decision is on 10/20. We're all going to call and vote to go through on that. If that happens, then it's just a matter of getting the notice into the central register, advertised, for the project, then we'll go through the statutory review process, which will probably be about 4 to 6 weeks. Usually we put a sub bids out for 3 weeks and general bids out for 2 weeks, maybe a week if we have to extend any of those. And we would anticipate by the middle or to the end of January, contract notice to proceed would be issued, and we would be breaking ground pretty much in March. If we do send out a notice to proceed in January, February is not a throwaway month. During that time, the contract will be mobilizing, we'd be doing permits, we'd be doing submittals and everything else like that. We anticipate that, we're probably about 12 to 15 months from construction. So again, none of that has changed, but we would be looking at June of 2027. ACE would be in his new facilities. So if there aren't any other questions, I do know, Asa, that you also have on your agenda is if there were any comments on the submission that we recently made. I don't know if we'll be getting written comments, verbal comments, but that is something I'll be happy to discuss. The other items that we have to talk about as far as going through the process, they did send out Division 0, Division 1, which are the contract requirements for the project. AC has sent that to town council. That is under review. I don't know what we would take in those back. Did they give you an indication?
I've gotten comments back from Marlene.
Okay,
I have not gotten any comments back from town council yet, but it's in the works. So,
right, okay. And I know that that's been in the works for about 3 or 4 weeks now.
yeah, a few weeks, yeah.
Yeah, so I feel very comfortable. We're in good shape with that. I think, again, we're kind of blending things together. The issue about the interior, exterior materials. I met many of you at the Whitman walkthrough. I think that gave you a good exposure to what we would typically suggest for a facility of this nature. While some of the things may look expensive, I can assure you they're all off the shelf, standard items. You know, hollow metal frames, wood doors, a hollow metal, fiberglass. It's all, off the shelf, very durable, easy to maintain materials. One of the decisions we'll have to make, because I know we had a discussion earlier, is how far you bring like the epoxy floor through the office area. At Whitman, they had a mix of carpet and epoxy flooring. At Levere and some of the other facilities, Oxford, they're doing all epoxy flooring through everything. Just because it's easier to maintain than it lasts 50 years if you have to replace it. So that's kind of where we stand. I don't know if we want to start first with the Whitman site visit, if there are any comments, concerns, things that you saw there. Then we kind of go into the materials. I think the last discussion we had, we were masonry as shown on the renderings. And then I think the committee, if I remember correctly, and I don't know if it was voted on or not, has decided to go with all metal panels, and we're not going to try to put clapboards or anything over the metal panels. We'll just work with the pattern on the metal panel. And I assume we're going with the kind of a white look or a gray, light gray, cream color. And again, these are not critical decisions we have to make now because you've made the big one that we're going with the metal panel. Colors we can tweak even up to after construction of Bourne if we need.
Did we make that decision on the metal panel? Did we vote on
I
that?
think we were supposed to vote the
That's
last.
the last meeting, right?
We didn't have it.
Right. Well, I'm gonna motion that we go with metal panel versus clapboard.
Second that.
We all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so that's done.
Okay. I know we all agreed on the standing seam metal roof last time in the masonry, so we're good with that. I don't know what we need to do on the interior finishes. Again, other than you telling me it's just a, thing in the finish scale. Did you give any thought? Did you want all epoxy through your whole building, or do you want the carpet in the office areas? And I know there's probably many voices on that and.
Let's discuss it a little bit. I mean, I liked the carpet in the office. I also know what our carpet looks like in the office now, primarily because I track junk through there myself. But, how is, that commercial carpet for cleaning and everything like that? I mean, is it, it's certainly a nicer look and a nicer feel, I would think.
Yeah, 7 to 10 years out of carpet in a normal
Yeah.
situation.
Is this a normal situation?
Huh?
I said, is this,
I would say no.
we were tracking.
Right.
I mean, Asa, you have to be the exception. Most of the people who are working in the office aren't going to track stuff there.
I'm the one who makes the mess of the place. I mean, mostly me. But that being said, I do like the carpet. What's your thoughts?
wipe your feet.
I mean, I think there's other floor finishes we could explore. It doesn't just have to be either the epoxy or the carpet. There are other options to consider.
I agree with you, Greg, there are vinyls that are also on one of the floors that we use.
Yeah, use like vinyls, there's,
Sheet vinyl a little pricey, but it's nice material.
Well, so we usually use what they call Gorilla flooring, it's just a brand that's been very durable. Again, Eversource uses a lot of the epoxy carpet and Gorilla flooring, and I would assume their operations are no different than yours. Carpet is great for office areas, and I will give you some mix and match options too. The Gorilla flooring is great for like the IT rooms and things like that. Again, the Gorilla, while it doesn't require a lot of maintenance, it will require more maintenance than the epoxy and a lot less than the carpet.
What is the Gorilla for?
It's just it's a luxury vinyl, but it's very durable and it's just more abuse, resistant vinyl. And I can bring in samples of that.
Yeah.
And so, one of the other options we talked about, Mike and I, internally, is you have that corner down the office area. And then it kind of spills into the break room. Well, we could do that all on epoxy and then put carpet in the offices, because then it's as I said, individual one-on-one, so that if somebody from the crews will walk in, or if you're coming in, you can tromp all the mud down the corner and then just take the shoes off when you go into the office.
Yeah, it probably knocks a lot of the stuff off your boots.
So that's another option. And again, these are just giving some thoughts. Nothing has to be decided.
There's some carpets that are like so low, it's almost like a board, still a carpet, you basically sweep it instead of vacuuming it.
Gotcha.
So I think, maybe it's worth trying to get some samples, look at some of the things.
When does this decision have to be made?
Well, final floor in the west.
We don't need to make it until after the contract's awarded. It'd be nice if we made it now,
Well,
not today, but I mean, before the package goes out, so they know what they're getting. The final finishes and stuff can always change.
But again, I think the carpet option should be looked at, because I think needing to vacuum, it gets stuck in the piles versus sitting on the top.
We did some carpet squares in some of our high traffic office spaces. They've held up well in your place. Obviously, just those one areas don't match exactly. They're a little bit less.
Easier on your back.
So I was thinking is that the corridor for the employee entrance clearly is epoxy all the way down the corridor. The 90-degree coming west to the break room, all of the break room, where we have meetings and all of that's epoxy. Coming through the office to the bathrooms, the corridor down the middle, in the bathroom entrances, those are all epoxy. In the entrance to the office, some sort of durable, I know there's a knockdown metal thing option too. So really the only carpeted areas would be the low pile tile kind of thing in the individual offices.
All common areas epoxy.
Yeah, exactly. And then in the individual offices and the library and the conference rooms would be, you might want to do the conference room epoxy, that's, but we could, so.
Kind of, you get the echoey.
That was the only other thing to allow.
Yeah.
So then all those rooms would be the carpet. So, all the travel areas would absolutely be epoxy. I mean, it might be.
Part of it is you manage expectations too. I mean, do you want to have epoxy in your conference room? I agree with you in that if it's a warmer feeling, I guess, I don't really care. But it's a warmer feeling, manage expectations. It's only gonna look like it's gonna last 7 years, say that. And then we'll rip it up and put it in the budget. I don't like that. The other options, I've worked in a couple of power plants that had like not a graded floor, but a rough floor leading out of the shop. And the outside entrances where you walk maybe 10 feet over a graded floor with a tray pull out from underneath it. But it knocks a lot of the mud off before you get in.
Well, that's why the decon area on the garage side too, is that, really heavy stuff, they're gonna be, we'll go over all that with the crew. Knock down.
The grades need maintenance, meaning somebody needs to lift them up.
Yeah, they just had a tray. The ones I worked on had a tray and you just pulled it up and dumped it.
So what I would recommend in that case, because we've done the walk-off mats with the stainless steel and all that, and I agree with you, Craig, what you're saying. The most economical, most practical, easiest way to do it is just use walk-off mats. Okay, the reason I say that is because like at Eversource, they have the same issues. During the winters, the walk-up ramps are 30 feet long
Mhm.
because it's that time of year. During the summer, they put the short 6 to 8 foot walk-off mats. If you decide you want to get colorful and put a logo or use this photo in on that, you can do the walk-off mats with it. But no, seriously, the walk-off mats are probably the most, because you're only talking a couple $100 for those.
And you
And
can
it,
actually do a service for those. when
We have
already.
Yeah. So anyway, but again, we can get into some of those details, because typically if we do a walk-off mat with a grate or a tray or something, you actually have to do a depressed slab. And even though we tell the contractors, you gotta put a depressed slab in, 99 pounds of 100, they always forget the depressed slab, you see them chipping in, you know. And so it's kind of a mess at the end of, again, that's a management issue, but I would say that the walk-off mats are the most practical. Because even if one of the walk-off mats gets so trashed because somebody just walked in with something that you just can't even clean off the walk-off mat, it's a cheap, inexpensive thing to throw away and get a new walk-off mat.
Like I said, we have a service now that, for that, you know, every Thursday they get swapped out.
I agree with Greg. I've actually installed those mats before. People don't always like them.
Yeah.
And then they're there and you're stuck with it.
We'll probably have service of some sort for some areas anyway.
Well, I would say as a placeholder right now, let's epoxy floor and common areas, common hallways and break areas, and then carpet.
Yeah, could you get us some different samples of different low profile carpets and then maybe also bring in the LVT so people can see that?
Yes.
That might be something to consider in the hallway beside the office.
Okay.
What I would suggest on this is we will get you the samples. You can pick us, you know, style or, you know, model that you kind of like. Let's not get too hung up on colors too early on, because usually what happens is just when you pick out the one's called breadbasket or something, they decide to change the color or discontinue it. But it's really more the intent.
We also don't know exactly which product we're
Right.
gonna get. So typically I do this through shop drawings.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
They're gonna, you know, they can't be proprietary, so they're gonna base it upon something. A contractor can come in and say, well, this meets the spec, we wanna use the product. And I've never been successful with the color, by saying, well, it doesn't have the color we want.
So anyways, we can work through that. So one of the other things that I will be sending out to you, which I haven't, you know, drafted yet, so we drafted, I just haven't finalized. I will be sending out a little questionnaire survey. And the only reason, because we've gotten burned by too many times on it. For example, do you want ivory colored receptacles or white receptacles or brown receptacles? Because we literally have a client now that we put in ivory on the ivory walls and they just cut a change order to replace all of them to white. Okay. I'm not recommending we do that. So it's just easier to go up front and deal with this. Same thing with like if you have a particular fire alarm system, typically we specify a non-proprietary one like Notifier or something. But if the town has a certain vendor that wants to use a certain fire alarm and you want to go proprietary, immediately we can go there. Just remember, anything that you do proprietary has to get a board vote. I'm going to call you guys to the board because by statute, you have to do a justification, aka the board vote on why you need a proprietary system. And sometimes it makes sense.
What are our panels now, right now?
You know, fire controller, and the pull stations
No, the fire alarm panel.
or marathon.
Simplex.
Mammoth. Yeah. Sounds familiar.
I don't know. I'll get you what we have. Well,
Yeah, no, I'll send you the questionnaire. We can address
It might be
it.
worth checking with what other buildings have.
we recently swapped them out to match everything else, didn't we? Like a few years back?
Makes
Like a
sense.
service contract, if you know, you got multiple.
One monitoring.
You can have a-
Monitoring company.
Yeah.
But that's part of that questionnaire.
I'm sure
Yeah,
that,
that's part of the questionnaire, and it'll ask like if you're FM global insured or not. They have straight them, well, we can design the roof to meet code. FM global requires higher standard.
Yeah.
That we just, and again, none of this is major. I just don't want to be sitting here on the project And Asa walks in and says, why did you put the island receptacles in? Because I wasn't like, just joking with you, Asa. No. But I mean, because I don't think that's one of those things we need to change out, if we can just get it right up front.
So about the furniture, the desks, everything?
What's that?
Wait, speaking of the furniture, the desks, we say receptacle, what do you?
No, I'm not literally just
Talking about
on the wall.
outlets.
Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
Yeah, so, and,
Oh, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
and then the other thing we're gonna ask you is like the ceiling tile, we used to use a cast product, it's called Glacier by Armstrong. People say it's not the most beautiful stuff, you can break it over your knee and put it back in the ceiling and you can't tell it's broken.
Is that what you used?
That's what we used, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
And some people think it's a little too rough and stuff, and others once, but again, it depends how often you're in your ceilings and popping them and chipping corners and stuff. So.
Hi, Marlene, how you doing?
Hey, Asa, good. If you guys do end up with any proprietary specs, I'll need to put those before the select board.
Okay.
Well, I assume that we wouldn't really have any reason to do that, except maybe in the case where we want the same monitoring
Yeah, well,
company that we have for the other buildings.
see, a lot of the towns use the Genetec system, okay? And if that's what you're using, then we should just spec around the Genetec. And it makes sense because if all your other buildings in the town are Genetec and
Right.
you have a service contract for it, yes, we should be doing that.
Right.
On the other hand, if it's just ad hoc, it doesn't matter, then maybe it's not as important, but there are some justifications.
Consistency is definitely important there.
Yes.
And that, if, get that questionnaire over
Yes.
and then maybe Marlene, if we need to, request that from the select board, maybe in August, we could do that as well.
Yeah, it won't be a big deal. We need their vote. So once you know what they are, I can put it on the next agenda.
Okay.
Go through all the components of the fire system with you. Each part.
Speaking of fire suppression, I need to install, we're talking water. I'm going to diverge a little bit here. Water service, the 8-inch water main that's coming down the main drag there. I need to get that in and I need to get the 10-inch fire suppression line in sooner than later. And I need to know, we've had this conversation before, but it's all C900 around the rest of the site for 10-inch C900 for the fire suppression. I'm literally just going to put a straight stick of C900 in from our pump station onto the 12-acre parcel. I just need to know that everybody's on board with that.
Yeah,
So I can, when I rip that road open, it's one shot. I'm putting an 8-inch line in and a 10-inch
And
line.
we will work with you on that, Ace, because the only thing we're thinking is we can do the tee off for the, code requires us to go with the cast iron.
Understood,
So
understood.
what I'm thinking is, if I connect into your key, and it's on, and I can connect the cast iron in, I don't really care how the water gets there. And that's something we can work.
I need to know that in like the next couple of weeks.
Sure.
At tops, maybe sooner.
Because I think you said the whole town pretty much uses that same.
Yeah, that's what the Bourne Water District uses, so.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's what exists everywhere else on the site, but all the abouts for the house are all cast,
Okay.
or cement line ductile. But, I just need to know that everybody's on board with that before I put $50,000 worth of 10-inch pipe in that's gonna be torn back out, but I'm getting close to being able to set up my temporary office trailers. And I need that water main in to service those trailers.
Okay.
So that's sort of what I'm waiting on right now.
Right, we'll get you that answer. But I think what we're gonna end up doing is what you did with the hydrants again. The tap off, then the duct on,
Yeah.
from that point on.
Yep.
So anyway, so the bottom line is, thank you for finalizing the materials on the exterior of the building, that's great. Greg, we will get samples and stuff over the next, couple of months for the interior finish, not gonna really worry too much about this, because again, we kind of have a general direction, we can finalize that at the last minute, yeah, I think we're good on the building design and everything now. So I don't have any other further questions on that. We talked about the front end. And we talked about the updated work plan, so unless somebody has questions for me, I guess I would just, at this point, just ask if there was any feedback, whether you give it to us verbally, whether you send an email, write notes, just on the submission, if there were any major concerns. I know the next submission will be the, another big milestone, that we should make sure that everything's kind of finalized at that point. More so than this.
I mean, how are you guys coming along with all the plans and the design development and the construction, how are we making out? I mean,
Everything's going well, I think, so, Peter's got appointed him on the site.
Yeah.
Focusing on the site. I charged my electrical engineer, see if we can get that out, for the metrics. And we're proposing ASIS because, I know they kind of talked about all the wall packs on the building.
Yeah.
We're not gonna get enough parking lot light out there, so like on the parking lot across, we're thinking putting 2 poles there. Down the drive, we're thinking putting 4 poles there, and there's like 2 or 3 poles in the back.
I was hoping we could get it all in the building.
We're just talking
I
about,
know, we were just a couple hours ago feeling like, oh, we're gonna light it all off the building. That way we don't hit any poles or plowing snow.
Well, these are all in the median areas in grass.
Yeah.
None of them are on the,
Yeah, we'll find them. We'll find them.
whole drive.
Maybe we should put a higher curve.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of joking, but I'm joking and I'm not, but
Things that we're thinking, and you guys know better than, I know you open pretty much, in normal 7 to 5 hours or something, weekends, things like that. So most of the time we'll be in daylight. However,
it's the snow.
the snow, but also, in February it gets dark at 3:30, 4
Yeah.
o'clock. And
No, it'll be all right. If we need the light out there, that's fine. I'm joking, but
yeah, they're the LED, I think they put them on 30-foot poles, so they get a little spread, dark skies, so they're only lighting the, thing. And we wanna light that drive, we also, make sure the parking is safe. You have lights under your canopy for the fuel island, you have lights around the building. One of the things, we have the light on the corner, where the fuel island turns so that people come in, we hit some of the area where the recycling is. We also have 2 lights along the wall at the outer edge, so that if you're driving it's in darkness, something not driving properly. So it's, like I said, it's probably more 30 days. Yes.
6:30 a.m. Around the office, dangerous.
I mean, it's in most cases, you get no full on the exact, we probably. We will be having that for photometrics coming out shortly.
For us to get a look at it. Right? I agree with you. Having lived through the darkness, out there, probably not a bad idea for you. If we need to, we'll knock them on.
From the plan or from the plows?
From the plan. No,
Photometrics is a lady.
Yes, and they'll tell you only.
Plenty more dimension than it is.
Yes, so, and they'll look for everything, and again, it's, you try to avoid hot spots and you want to get a general even lighting across the site. I mean, clearly under the light, you'll see you get higher foot candles than where the spread is, but generally. And then the other thing too, which we'll put the lights on photo cells, you can put them on timers and photo cells, because I know a lot of the towns and cities we do is, they'll say, obviously in emergencies, lights can go on, you can light it up like Fenway, let's say at 10 o'clock, all the lights go down. And then even if it's, doesn't matter, they just turn off the lights, or if you want photo cell. I don't know how much you want to light up the landfill during the evenings, but I'm assuming once you're out of there, you're pretty much out of there.
Yeah.
You can also put them on motion sensors, so as you drive down and lights up the street, that gets, if you have turkeys or something flying around, you'll see things going on and off all night, so we'll work through that, but it's just, the poles aren't going to be needed. I only wanted to mention that because the comment came up. Most of them are on the building.
all right. I've got a couple. Well, anybody else have anything before I go through? I've got a little punch list here of things, mostly site related stuff, because that's kind of what I'm geared towards. But we got the generator pad and the transformer pad right out in front of the building. Thought we were going to put that in the back corner off of the patio.
You can put that wherever you want. I think we put it there only because we thought it was the shortest run to the service and everything, because the electric room is down at that end of the building. But we can flip it to the other end. You tell me, Asa, we put it where you want it.
I mean, I think just from an aesthetic point of view, it probably makes sense to put it in the back.
Okay.
Any other thoughts on that?
I mean, the transform is they're gonna wanna have a certain standard, how far out that is away from pavement and everything.
Oh, yeah, right, okay.
So it doesn't mean you can't do it towards the back of the parking lot.
So, Asa, what would you think if we put all these transformers and generators and stuff, like where the fuel island is, in that grass area? Would you be okay with it there?
Oh, that probably makes sense.
Because then it's like midway point, it's not at one end of the building, it's out of way.
Yeah,
They can service them easy, we put lots of bollards on if we can do everything.
service coming around the site. Well, we don't know
We
exactly,
don't know exactly what's coming.
but yeah, but it's either way, it's going to be kind of coming from that direction,
Right,
like,
so what I'm thinking, but if we do where the fuel island is, we can just do a straight shot into the electric room. And, but I mean, it's a nice area, it's safe, it's easy to use, we can put the pads. That's just a suggestion.
that makes sense. I'm on board with that.
Since we'd have to stay away from the fuel with the generator.
No, there should be no problems.
Interesting. We're going gas.
Yes.
I need a blast wall, I think. Would you?
What's that? What?
Depending on clearances, sometimes.
Yeah, I thought it was 25.
Wall in. It's like
It's a big island.
big concrete. Or-
No, just so everybody knows the
Okay.
fuel island tanks, I mean,
They're on the ground.
they're above ground, they're gonna be double walled, and between the two walls, they essentially put concrete in there. So somebody can't just drive by and take a shot at it with a rifle or something. I mean, they're pretty, can they blow up? Yes, they can still blow up, but I mean, with all the safety mechanisms, stuff they build into there, should not really be an issue. So there's containment in there, there'll be their lines, so they can't be, ballistic proof and things like that.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of island there. I mean, there's a lot of real estate to. So,
And then if we need to, we can put a ball into Jersey barriers or something like that. But I do know that the utility companies, they would have the entire town cleared with for one transformer there, so they can easily access it. They just like easy access.
yeah, understood. It's better I mean, any work that we might end up doing on it or, the generator in particular, if we do any service work or anything on it.
Fire too.
Right there from the,
Yeah, like coming
out in
on,
front of the mechanic's garage and,
we have half an hour a week, it's gonna run.
Yeah.
Right next to the office window.
it's true. All right, well, it sounds like that might work. My second question was back to I'm sounding like a broken record, ductile iron all the way around the site versus C900, or was that just kind of a standard?
That's a standard.
Talk to Peter about that.
Shouldn't be a problem.
We have a chain link detail in here. We doing chain link around any of the ponds or the bioretention areas? I didn't.
And it probably is in there early now, just in case.
It's just a standard.
Something.
Yeah, okay, all right. That's kind of what I thought. The interim, or not, what I'm calling the interim plan, the existing conditions plan that we're gonna build, so to speak. Doesn't really have any grades on it. Does he plan on putting grades on
Yes.
this C111 plan? That's okay, that's gonna have grades on it? The septic system, I talked to Peter about 600 gallons a day. I think he came up with a number that was like 400 and change. And I think we bumped it up to 600.
Yes.
What I want to make sure that we have room in there because I don't want to have to put another IA system in.
Okay.
I want to be able to pump to that system from the guard shack. and from, I could probably hit it by gravity from the future transfer station. Right, so that way, even if we have to do it, even if we have to pump to the septic tank that we're going to be putting in the ground now, I just want to make sure we have capacity available for that, so we can basically handle the entire 12 acres rather than having another septic system somewhere else. I'd rather just run a force main, you know? Even if we have to bump it up another couple hundred gallons a day, something like that.
That'd be great, connected to.
Yeah, just stick with one system. Because if if we don't, then we got to get into two IA systems, maintenance agreements on both of those systems, yada, yada.
But we should probably also look at stubbing them out to a certain point that we're not clearing up.
Yes, exactly, yeah. Yes, stub them out to the limit of work, kind of,
Yeah, like
yeah,
10 feet beyond the paved area or something.
yeah,
like this.
exactly,
Yeah.
yep. I just had one question. The mezzanine areas, we have them separated. I noticed you actually, Mike actually mentioned this in our staff review this morning. We've got two separate mezzanines and they're not connected by a door. Is there a reason for that?
Why didn't we put it going in?
No, we don't have any connection right now.
Well, maybe it was because we needed for security reasons, so the repair garage, people keep the door on one side, and then the vehicle repair, I mean, the vehicle storage. And if you guys don't mind mingling and stuff, we can easily put it.
Yeah, I think we should have a door between those two, for sure.
And then you're just controlling the lock.
Yeah, it'd be a key door, yeah. That was all I have for now.
Like the fence comment prompted me to think about dumpsters and closures. You guys have a dumpster?
We don't. Dumpster and closure.
Like,
Why do they need a dumpster?
just walk it across. the
Yeah, we
street.
kind of just throw it in a truck when it's convenient.
Yeah, they go up, they run up to the.
Yeah,
Water buckets, that's what we usually do.
On the way up break room, they grab the bag.
yeah,
We should probably put, even if you have a small dumpster, I will make sure we get you the dumpster.
Yeah.
Generate.
right.
Case.
I guess I'm just trying to think about if we take it out, where's it gonna go? I mean, we got the residential area across the street, could carry it across the street to the compactor. It's almost the same as carrying it out to a dumpster, you know?
What does come up, you just mentioned it, is that metal recycling and other waste from the garage that they now are kind of storing in and around the building and garage repair area. We may want to have an area for a couple 6-yarders for scrap metal. And maybe you would have one for shop waste and then so know that it's generated scrap metal and people bring that up. Scrap.
That's a good point. Let me put a little bit of thought into that. We'll come up with something.
And the only other thing I'd say about a dumpster, or even if it's just a small roll around dumpster, is if you have janitorial services working. So if the cleaners are taking out the trash at night or at the end of the day, they're not gonna walk to the transfer station, they're just walking back in the building, toss the thing into the dumpster.
Right.
So, but yeah, so we'll include the dumpster enclosure pad as well as an area for scrap metal slab, things I'm going to find that. But thank you for thinking of those things, because these are the things that are, right, these are the things that you don't want to be dealing with during the punch list saying, like when somebody from drive to the building, we were told that there was a materials lab.
Oh, you mentioned this, yeah.
And when we were doing the punch list, they said, where's the federal material lab? He said, nobody mentioned that. So they built a $42 million building, they put a trailer in the backyard the next day because they couldn't figure out that they left that off the program.
Wow. Whoops.
I don't like to do things.
Yeah, the guys who run a landfill forgot the dumpster. Trash. I know, you can't see the forest through the trees.
Not ideal.
If you work on that, please.
It's just, yeah, it's one of those things.
You're right, though, Greg. You're right. All the things you bring up are true. And they said they're, Bill's comment about the metal, very. The mechanics have a tough time, managing.
Cardboard too, we just had.
No, yeah, metal, cardboard, and trash. And there were 3 containers out front.
Whatever we expect, we just have to make sure.
Garage.
10 yard for the small off or whatever.
Yeah, we always have some kind of misfit container that we you know, drag up.
Our tires are inside, we're storing those inside, we're not in kayak.
Tires are, yeah, inside. Yeah, mezzanine.
Yes. The only other two I thought of that were these little areas, you know, the one that I'm gonna mention. Was the tanks, we have that area on that south side, I guess, corner of the garage where we put the tanks.
Yes,
They got the area, little walkout.
yes, there will be, there actually have a little pad going around.
Okay.
We may need to build that out a little bit. It looks a little narrow in there.
Okay.
I don't know how wide that pad is there, but to get to the oxy and acetylene
Sure.
bottles, but
And those are, and again, those are one of those things that I don't know if you'd want like a chain link fence around those just for security and things.
they need to be,
Strap.
yeah, they just need to be strapped to the wall. That's all.
I understand.
And then that separate, was it 10, 25, some separation between the oxidizers and the.
The other question was we're having cassettes that are heat pump related for the office, right? They all have condensers and they're gonna be up in the mezzanine by the north louvers, not outside by the office windows or anything.
So there's a little area that we may be doing on the west. You'll see on the rendering, there's some louvers on the west elevation.
Yeah.
And then there'll also be on the north. So we'll space the equipment.
Okay.
Anything else? Yeah.
We want any follow-up from the building tour? Anything we need to discuss on that? We went up. I made a list of all small things, but I noted, I can cover them later.
We can discuss that a little bit.
Do we want to discuss?
So Greg, yeah, I'd love to hear what you liked and didn't like about the building.
It was all, everything I saw that I made a note was like minutia stuff.
That's fine, but I mean, let's get the minutia. I mean, I know you and I discussed that one of the big issues was how that sill with the masonry, but
Yeah.
because we're putting it up so high, it becomes less of an issue now.
Yeah, definitely the seat channels at the doors.
Okay.
The gauge seat channel.
Right.
I noted we were gonna kind of review the strength of the trench drains and the capacity because of the dirt.
That was one that stuck with me. I think there is a lot of debris, even though you're knocking off all the material before you bring the equipment in, you drop belly pans and things like that, you end up with a lot of debris. So whatever we can do in sumps, whatever volume we can provide in, the sumps and the trench drains, that is beneficial.
Well, so I guess here's the question, Nate. So, okay, it's all a matter about sloping the slab and where you put it to drain. You saw the wash bay drain where we have the pit and the pipe that's sticking out, so it's like a 2-foot deep pit. The pipe sits up at an inch below the grade. So then we can do the same thing in all of those repair bays and storage bays. So then you can put as much junk as you want in there, and it's just a matter of maintenance and
Scooping them out, yeah.
Yeah.
It's also think about where you're gonna be working and where those are, right?
No, I understand. I'm not, but let's talk first about like storage. Do you want those cleaned out, like the walk bay room in the storage area? Or your trucks in the storage, people sitting in the.
Good question. I think it probably makes sense to put them in the vehicle storage side.
We'll call them.
Because inevitably we end up doing some work over there or something, it's just kind of the way it goes. But back to Greg's point, having them in the middle of the floor with, guys rolling around on the floor and stuff and getting caught in those, what can we do about that? How can we?
Well, typically what we do on those is you usually put the little tiny 4-inch drain in there. Because assuming when you're working on the vehicles, you're not.
Well, that's what's going to get plugged up.
Could you kind of, instead of going in the center of the bay, go like on the column line?
We
So
can
it's
take
out
you
of
to the
the-
side. Or
Then it's out of the,
Yeah, outside
outside.
no longer underneath the vehicle.
equipment.
Yeah.
That's always gonna have legs and stuff.
You definitely want, and I'm going to use call for lack of better, to clean out trenches similar to the wash bay in the vehicle storage. So you don't have any problems with those.
Say that again.
Where the vehicles are stored, what we do is we have the similar trench drains to the wash bay, where you have the grates, you can pop up the grates. It's usually 2 feet by 6 feet or 2 feet by 8 feet. All of that will just flow into that area and clean it out when it gets clogged. Otherwise, water will just rise until it gets to the pipe. Be good with that.
I would say, the trench drain, if it's a, a heavy duty, except, we can get into it, that's probably all right. It's less likely that we're going to be doing work in the vehicle storage side than the vehicle maintenance side. So I guess, thinking about it a second time, I think the trench drain on that side is fine. But we definitely have to do something different on the repair side.
So how about this then, Asa? And maybe this is, because it may work in both areas, some configuration or not. What if we put the equivalent to, and I'm going to call it a manhole for lack of a.
Yeah.
But like those trench drains that you saw at with, those are segmented drains that are already pitched, so you can just unscrew the top and you could hose them down. But rather than going directly into the drain lines, what we could do is have it drop into kind of the clean out manhole, so that if you do get a heavy debris, you just hose it all down, it goes to the manhole, you clean the manhole out, and then the manhole drains into the discharge system. So that there's always that interceptor that, because then even if we go back to the repair bays, if we put the equivalent to a manhole clean out, and again, that's probably not the best word, but you know what I'm getting at.
I understand.
We could still put a 4 or 6 inch drain in the repair bays where if you had to hose them out, you just hose them out, they dump into the manhole, and then you just clean the manhole out. That way you can still roll your carts and everything and not worry about that. Because otherwise, if you do pitch the repair bays to one side or the other, we typically pitch them out the door, so you can walk. But if you pitch them into the side to the column or something, sometimes if you have your tool chest there and stuff, you do have water running in that direction, where we try to keep the water focused in one place and get it out as soon as possible.
So you're saying a larger floor drain to a common sump?
Yes. The receptacle, yeah, whether it's, whether you actually put a sump pump in it or whether it's just but it's literally one of those, like the wash bay, it's all passive.
You just back it out with the truck.
Yeah, you just back it out, exactly.
Let me talk over that with the mechanics
Okay.
and see what their thoughts are.
These are all, these aren't bringing together underneath the slab.
And the trench drain is built into the flat. And then the pipe goes out the end, and what I'm saying is rather than tying directly into the discharge, we would tie into that sump pit or manhole, whatever you want to call it. So that's where all the heavy debris ends up before it goes into the final.
Is there some separation from the bottom of the slab? Is it higher into
The trench drains?
Correct.
The trench drains are actually built in and cast into the concrete.
And there's concrete between the bottom of the pipe and the floor underneath the building.
Yes, well, actually, they typically just lay the sand or whatever, so they don't cast the pipe itself. But we can work that detail. My point simply being is the beauty that you guys have is you have all the elevations where you need for pavement. Yeah. So I could take a line from the trench drain, say it drops, 15, 18 inches below the slab into this sump. I still have enough elevation to take now the sump and pitch it out to where it needs to go and stuff. So we can work all these details. But I think what I'm hearing you say, and again, is talk to the mechanic and stuff. We want to intercept as much debris as possible before it hits the final drain lines.
I think it's something different. I'm thinking environmental protection, groundwater protection. So there's something were to spill into those lines on the floor in mechanics. We're gonna have a vulnerable spot underneath the slab of the floor that's exposed to the sand.
It's all contained.
It is.
It's all contained within structures and piping.
That's
And ultimately that water ends up in a non-hazardous industrial.
You were saying something on the sand underneath.
Sorry, we were trying to get away from it. Yeah, we just talked, yeah.
Okay. A hole in the middle of the floor and let it get.
Yeah. So you're building all of a sudden, you got like the old days?
Yeah, right.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah, it's going to a tight tank or somewhere. Yes, it's not just being dumped into the ground.
Well, but it's still not, it's not just corroding within the soil, it's protected.
No, it's all in structure.
Yes.
It's all contained, yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
You had noted bollards on the inside of the doors, the outside. And downspouts, can we have a downspout plan? So we saw some near the doors that were kind of.
Yeah, I think you'll see, the renderings have the downspout, we'll coordinate those. And I appreciate what you're saying, Fred.
Lightning protection, are we doing lightning protection?
We do put that on the bill, yes.
We noted the chair rail on the conference room.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah. I don't think I had noted there was some drywall out there in the garage space, but I don't think you have any that plan, right? I mean, it's either masonry or the cage.
Yeah, that should all be cage, so I will confirm that.
What about upstairs? Is that all drywall or
The
mezzanine?
mezzanine would all be drywall, yes.
And then, no, you had the OSHA security gate mechanism for the mezzanine.
Yes, for the ladder.
So that you show that on one side, the other side, we have the crane. When you look at the plan, at the mezzanine, it looks like, what's gonna be on that? Where the crane can come, is that gonna be your
No, that will have a standard like the
railing?
railing, the two rail, that yellow rail that you saw, and there will be stick out sections, and hopefully they'll be driving gently so that they target for the opening and not the rail, but worst comes to worst, they hit the rail and the rail has to be replaced. But we will make segments in that the rail will be.
Basically it.
I had written down here, activated carbon filter. What were we looking at when I wrote that down?
Odor protection?
I think it was some kind of an odor protection.
Storage gas?
Remember what I was,
Yeah, I think Asa, you were concerned about trying to eliminate some of the odors coming in from the landfill.
oh, yeah, maybe that's what it was. Yeah, and
Yeah.
you were talking about you can provide on the intake air, right? Yeah,
Yeah, it's dust in.
yeah.
Mentioned lightning protection. So there's gonna be some sort of law or something, but we have surge protection, whole building surge protection too. The electric panels. We've gotten hit several times.
Yeah.
That's required by the electric code.
Okay, great. Awesome. If that.
One note I saw in the last minutes was the gas loads and the electric loads. Do we have that yet?
We do not have those.
When, speaking of electric, when do we need to, I mean, I think I know the answer to this question, but we need to be talking to Eversource pretty quick, right?
You should probably start on.
Yeah. Know where we're coming from. I mean,
We will make the introduction, we'll do it, and if worst comes to worst, I'll call.
use your contacts. Some strings. All right.
This is in Oregon, but you know, we will execute,
What's that?
we literally in Europe, they have the executive suite.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So all the VPs and stuff, you get home quicker to their vacation. I mean, they're modest, they're not great, but
Yeah.
they are nevertheless.
In existence, yeah.
I think we should be able to do this.
When you have to determine office layouts and interior furniture and the outlets and chemicals and all that.
That you'll probably see in the next submission. Okay, and one of the things that we should probably do talk about is the furniture. I know that Scott will probably run it through ASI, or he'll bid it out. Yes, that is something, because inevitably, all the jobs we do, everybody decides to change their desk at the last minute, and on Whitman, we had to add like 3 or 4 extra receptacles because people decided to flip their desk and stuff.
That's it.
So there's a couple ways you could do that. One way is we just put a receptacle on all the walls, but that still doesn't address the telephone jacks and stuff. And so, yeah, talk about that.
Cat 5 or whatever it is.
Yes. The other thing too we should talk about is how's cell reception down at your site?
It's fine. I think, I mean, I've never had an issue. What, I mean, question, is anybody even putting copper phone lines in buildings anymore?
No, we pretty much just put Cat 5.
Just Cat 5, right,
Or
I wouldn't think, yeah, okay, I didn't think so.
We definitely don't want Cat 5.
Cat 6.
Yeah, it's Cat 6.
Okay, perfect.
That's, that we get to it.
But you were thinking of repeaters, cell phone, or PA system?
Well, I don't know if we need to do any of the boosters or anything, because I know.
You might want to plan for it, because that's a, you know, you're in a metal building. Probably reception is like in the existing entrance.
I've never had an issue talking to people in like mechanical room or in the transfer station or anything like that, but.
Right, they're doing a BDA system, right?
We will do well, usually what we do is
Wire for it, that's.
yeah, we wire for it, test, and then if you need it, we put it in. If you don't need it, then we do it as a unit price typically, just so we.
What system?
It's the bidirectional
Radio.
amplification.
Oh, okay, all right.
It's from the fire department, and
Yeah.
the whole building can work out except for one little closet, and then I have to know one of our jobs in Hingham.
Okay.
The whole building decked out with radios except this one little 3x3 closet.
No kidding, really?
With a $50,000 BDA system.
Wow.
I mean, it's for life safety, so I'm not.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be in a building that's working and not be able to talk.
It's just the being able to communicate in and out of the building, right?
Yeah.
And just because of the way the steel configuration or the concrete configuration or whatever.
These coatings on the glass and stuff, it's just so many things can buck up the signal.
No kidding, okay, all right. Didn't know about that.
But you can't tell that until you build the building.
Yeah, understood. Anything else?
And then ASO obviously will be going over security too. We'll give a first stab at where we think cameras should be, card readers should be. Then you can tell us we've got it all wrong and do it again. That's fine.
Marshall County IT is in the loop. So pretty soon we'll have the next level of plans for them.
Yeah, they're gonna wanna see certainly all the receptacle locations, you know, the cat 6 receptacle locations, things like that, so. Try to keep them in the loop as we go along.
Runs back to the closet there.
On the work plan, Greg, you had dates for the ZBA meeting and the planning board. Those sets already?
Those are already set. We basically went over those at the meeting this morning.
Okay.
Well, so those are the, we're hoping we get through the first ones. If they don't get through the third ones, then usually it's like 2 weeks after.
So planning board, filing on 7/28 for the August 28th meeting,
Correct.
and ZBA filing by 7/21 for the August 20th meeting,
Correct.
so.
And I think you walked away with the same information I got was, there's going to need to be a variance for the height.
Yeah.
And they seem to be very receptive to and understood the requirements.
The board is different than who you met with.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
There was, yeah, understanding that there, didn't see it to be a big issue, but, to the greatest extent that she could. So.
I think the biggest thing on the building was not the, all the building meets the height requirements except for the pier wall. The only reason we had to do that is between, getting the crane in and getting the crane up high enough so that ACE could actually use it on the equipment. Because it does no good if you can clear the equipment, but you can't lift anything out of it.
Right.
And I think they understand that, and I think that's the hardship that we're going to be applying for that.
All right. Well, I think we will move on to the next item. So we are on for August 26th with the select board to give an update. Also, at that meeting, we are going to need to bring sort of I want to say retask the committee here with the oversight of the upcoming transfer station. And I figured that might be a good point to do that with the select board and see if they would, assign us to do that because Marlene, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Is the threshold, is it a $10 million threshold that warrants the committee? Is that?
No, it's when something has to go out, designer selection.
Oh, okay, that's the trigger. Okay, all right. So that being said, I wanted to bring that to everybody here. I know we don't have quite everybody here, but is everybody all right with carrying on through this process with the transfer station, which obviously is a much simpler building. But it needs a building committee as well, and it all makes sense just to keep us rolling right through that. We will request the architectural and engineering funding this fall, which is in the range of about $1 million. And then start that design shortly next year, early next year, and then into request the construction funding for that by next annual town meeting or special town meeting, May town meeting. So does anybody have any questions on that? Are you all right with overseeing all of that?
Will our overseeing include the rail line that's going to go to that?
We will like to locate back the building to accommodate.
Fine.
Should this committee be intact when a rail line shows up? Yes.
It's the top.
Yeah, right. So, okay, I just wanted to put that out there for everybody and let you know that'll be discussed at that meeting.
Proposed date for the next committee meeting?
Say it again.
Is there a proposed date for the next building committee meeting?
We have not gotten there yet, but
I thought we were there.
Well, I'd just put that on
We have to do
next
that.
meetings.
all right, so
So I tentatively put down 8/13. So, I think it probably be hybrid or remote or something, but the big issue will be going out and talking about the pre-qualification solicitation. So in the next week or so, I will get the package over to the committee. And again, I don't know if you need a vote on it. That's just a random time that I put because otherwise I have us on 9/10 for the next meeting. But it's really just an administrative item. Are we good with the pre-fall package to get it, make sure that we get it released and everything?
moving back to that, you had said that there's you need an OPM, a designer, and then 2 town representatives.
Right.
Can you explain that a little bit better?
So, the statute requires those 4 members. Now, Scott and myself will be tasked with reviewing all 165 proposals.
Okay.
Thank you, Scott, and that's the OPM and designer. However, the town's members, you can have 14 members on your committee, but they only get 2 votes on it, is what I'm getting at. And so typically what we see happen is, for example, 3 of you might say, we're going to do the plumbing, mechanical, electrical, masonry file stuff. Yep. And the others are going to do the roof, the miscellaneous metals, the painting, and the ceiling. And then the third group. So then you guys are only reviewing, say, 10 to 20 proposals each individually, as opposed to reviewing all 165. So now one thing I will tell you with the automated system is the automated system does the preliminary check on everything. It even provides a score for you. So that's what I'm saying is if you agree with the score, and so far it's been, fairly good. I mean, all the OPMs and stuff that you use would say, hey, this is a pretty good algorithm. You're getting pretty good scores on it.
What's the matter going through and sort of verifying
Well, yeah, so the system.
what the algorithm is
So the system is set up though, is there are 3 things that you manually have to do. You have to go in and confirm that there's a certificate of eligibility, which we know that You have to look at the financials. There was one other one. But anyways, it's 3 basic items that we make sure people check off so that at least now, if anybody were to audit you and stuff saying, well, how did you do this? Isn't this just all ran through? Needless to say, some towns just have the OPM and designer do it.
Yeah, okay.
And then they wait until the consensus board is brought to them.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, you do it the way you want. I'm just telling you, technically, the committee is supposed to vote on it as the 2 members from the awarding authority are supposed to vote on it as well. And so that's why we're saying that you could break it down. So if there's 165 proposals, there's 10 of you on the committee, each of you get 16 proposals to review.
Gotcha, okay. All right.
Or some combination thereof. And I know that some of you will look at it and say, I don't even know what I'm looking at. Like I always think it's the safety record, because people go, well, he got a 2 on it, so that must be better than the guy that got a 0.75. No, it's the other way around. 0.75 is a better score than a 2. 2 means that you're really watching things up. Basically, it is that number tells you how much you're paying on your insurance premium. So if you get a 1, means you're paying your standard premium. You get a 0.75 because you're really safe. That means you're only paying 75%. If you're getting a 2 or a 3, means you're doubling or tripling your insurance premiums because you're not a very safe company. So that's how it basically translates.
Okay. All right, I
But
understand.
anyway, we'll walk you through all those
Yeah,
things.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
not as complicated as you. And then, like I said, if you were really ambitious, you could probably crank it out in a day or 2.
Yeah, okay,
If you had nothing better to do for an 8-hour period.
understood. All right, so gonna jump ahead real quick here. Is there any, I mean, we want to put the 13th down for right now? The 13th at 3? That's a Wednesday, is that?
Yeah,
For everybody?
Wednesday.
Yeah, okay. Okay, now for the
It is, I mean,
fluffy stuff.
on the 13th, if there's not anything else, again, I think that could be just a quick hybrid, just to say, yeah, we're good with the package and everything else. Because we were asked listening comments on the 30th for the comments, but again, these can all shuffle around a little. It's not etched in stone. If the 13th doesn't work, if you want to push it up or push it back, it doesn't matter. But I do need us advertise in the central register.
Oh, I see. So you were saying the 13th is the,
kind of the release date for the pre-qualification. So I must have had a note about the meeting for the BD. My point simply being is we can phone it in on the 30th. I can send the package to you. Everybody on the committee can look at it. Most of you will say, looks good to me because I've never done this.
I see what you're saying.
So we just need to make sure so I can put the central register ad in and release that. So that's a typo on my part.
Okay,
I
so we're talking 2 weeks from tomorrow, possibly.
Yes.
Might be the better option.
Yeah. And again, that's just a phone-in vote saying the package is good to, and then I don't even know if we need a committee meeting for that. Because if I pass out the thing and everybody says, hey, it looks good, I'm good to go with that. Big one I should have said, I apologize, it's the 10th, 9/10 is the one that we needed, because that would be the DD submission. So what happens in August is up to you.
Okay. So let's look at the 30th would be a good point. I've got some public outreach stuff that I want to, or just a half of a video I want to show you that we've started. And that, I think the 30th might be a good time to follow up on more of that public outreach information. The 30th work for?
Scott, what day is that? Can you open your calendar?
It's Wednesday.
Yeah, it's a Wednesday.
Okay, so
What was the date, Lisa?
30th
Of August?
of July. 2 weeks. 2 weeks from
I'm
tomorrow.
away that week until the Friday.
Greg, Tom, are
I
you
can
guys?
probably phone in if I have reception of being.
I think we might do a Zoom anyways.
As I know.
Hold it tentatively and then we'll follow up with an email and we'll we'll pin that down as the next week goes by or so. I'll see what,
So we're not gonna meet on the,
not gonna be what?
we're not gonna meet on the 13th. We need to.
Meeting on Thursday.
I
30.
apologize, I misspoke on that.
I'll make a Zoom that.
All right.
So I think the big decision there is when you decide on the meeting on the 13th. The 30th is whether you want to have a meeting in August or not, because again, what I'm anticipating on the schedule is submission review will happen on the 10th. And the other reason I'm doing that is because at that point, yeah, because we do 9-10 for the DB, and then the next one I have is 10-1 to vote on the pre-qual list. Again, we can shuffle those a little. You'll see that the pre-qual package is due on 9/11. Again, it's a we can coordinate all of these things as necessary.
So pre-qual package goes out early,
I'm sorry, so
to us, so, you know, end of July, early August.
yes. I'm sorry, okay, so I keep misspeaking.
Yeah, I'm all
Try this one more
confused.
time.
Yeah.
Okay,
Run through it, run down the timeline here.
let me, okay, so meeting on the 30th will be great, we do the pre-poll.
Right.
Right now, I have nothing going on in August. Okay, those are primarily the hearings, so if we wanted to have a quick meeting, we could do an update on the hearings, but the hearings are all late in the month.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
okay. But I'll try to read what I write as opposed to what I think I'm reading. Okay, on 9/5, the team is going to submit all their DD packages to me, compile that and everything, and on 9/10, I'm releasing them to the committee. On 9/11, the pre-qualifications will be due. That's why I set the next committee meeting up on 9/18. Okay, because then you can talk about the DD package and we can, talk about whatever else we need to do. Then on 10/1 is when the committee would vote on the pre-polls, so that we could put that in.
All right.
And then in October, obviously, the other big date is 10/20, which is the town meeting, go, no, go. Now, the only thing that I did not put in here, Asa, which you alluded to, is if we need to coordinate any of the outreach, public outreach, if you need any materials from us, what was planned. So if we wanted to plan that on the 30th or do that in August, that works well too.
I would like, we're gonna have to kind of continue on with that, and I would like to get, we've done that initial video. I've got another video to show you that's half to 3/4 done. But I just want to kind of get it out to you guys. But is everybody all right? We'll put some poster boards of the site. You guys had done a nice colored poster board of the site layout. We're gonna need 2 or 3 of those. And then maybe one of the front of the building, I'm thinking. Like just the rendering of the front of the building. And we can put those up around town, library, town hall. We have put a TV up in Dorothy's, and if that was just last Friday, and put our video up.
Oh, you did put it up?
Yeah.
Have to work it
The
out.
TV's still on the wall, so that's good. Yeah.
Don't turn it off.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Try to YouTube loop. Is that-
Yeah, well, actually, I just used it off a thumb drive in the back of the TV. So,
So is that the
I-
aerial flyover and the video, the rendering walkthrough?
that doesn't have any of the rendering. It just has just the flyover stuff, the one that, yeah.
Yeah.
So like we included the rendering on this next one that I'll show you. I'll pull it right now.
ISWM begins to prepare for its upcoming landfill expansion, major infrastructure needs to be relocated and rebuilt. First step in this process is to construct a new maintenance and office garage on the new 12-acre parcel directly south of the residential recycling center. New office will provide the needed space for administrative staff functions, while the garage will provide updated, safe, and useful space and equipment needed to support and maintain ongoing operations and provide much needed storage. The ISWM Building Committee, with the help of ISWM staff, Aline Carl Architects and Construction Monitoring Services, have been tasked with overseeing this building's function, design, and construction. The building is proposed to have a useful life of 50 years, providing useful town infrastructure far past the life of the landfill. And as ISWM is an enterprise fund, this project will be funded entirely through revenue generated by facility operations. The new office and maintenance garage will be a steel frame building with insulated metal panel and masonry siding and metal roofing. It's designed to be simple and efficient with simplified roof lines to minimize the potential for roof leaks with a pitched gable roof, keeping the building looking aesthetically pleasing while still being cost efficient and built for utility. The proposed building consists of approximately 8,000 square feet of office space, 3,000 square feet of employee facilities, and 18,000 square feet of vehicle storage and maintenance area. There will be public access on the west side of the building via parking area that includes 36 parking spaces, including 2 handicap spaces. The paved area on the east side of the building will be primarily for use by the employees for vehicle storage and maintenance. A new fuel island for gasoline and diesel will be constructed as part of this project. This will provide fuel for ISWM vehicles and machines, as well as Department of Public Works and emergency response vehicles located on this side of the bridge. Considerable green space has been maintained around the building.
Obviously, we'll go in and add, we'll kind of wrap that up. We kind of cut it off at the green space thing, but just kind of thinking, focusing, the video's already kind of maybe getting long as it maybe should be, but we'll talk a little bit about just what's going on with the green space and some of the, the drainage. And I don't know, and just sort of wrap it up there. Or we could continue the video on. I was thinking about getting a floor plan and sort of zooming in, even if it's just a still JPEG, just you can zoom in and talk about the different areas of the floor plan and the building itself, via the, just a fixed floor plan. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I don't
What are
know.
your thoughts on it in general?
I think the video is great. I don't know that you need the details of the building.
Yeah.
I think we got too detailed. You gotta get more questions.
Yeah.
So the other thing you might look at, you can shorten some of that, because there's some flyovers that you see like repetitive.
Yeah.
Where and then that way you could add the green space section without necessarily having to.
Sure. The whole, yeah.
I
Right.
mean, I gotta just say, because some of the images, like, it's pretty slick when whoever did that got the map to,
Yeah.
but it's just the flyover where you keep seeing the same building going 3 times over. It's like,
Yeah.
I've seen it. So
Yeah.
maybe it's only passed over once or twice
Okay.
on critical things.
You can always stop if you have more to say and just have one image up.
Rather than have continuing the flow.
Just say,
Is that combined with the aerial? You can have the aerial up front, then that video?
They're two separate videos.
Right, so you're gonna combine them into one?
I wasn't gonna put them into one long video. It gets too long. People aren't gonna.
So I'm wondering if eventually you're gonna get rid of the aerial video and then show this one
Oh,
separately?
they'll both still be there.
Okay.
That's kind of why it kind of overlapped them too. You probably recognize some of the text from the first one. It's similar to the first one. I kind of wanted to sort of pick up where we left off and provide just enough background information where if you just saw that video, you kind of get a little idea of what's
So
going
what's
on.
missing if you're gonna have like a one, all-in-one, is maybe a small snippet of the first video up front it shows the whole,
But that's why we did the whole, there's an aerial in the beginning.
so the bridge.
Right there. And then we did the over, it's quick.
I guess, I would just suggest making that a little bit longer, where in the other video, it was a little clearer, the landfill's coming. It went by pretty quickly, that's all I'm saying.
Well, I mean, the idea is that both of those videos will exist and one talks about the site as a whole and this one delves a little bit more into the specifics of what's going on in that southwest corner, you know, more than. Because you're gonna get into a video that's gonna be 7-10 minutes long and, you know, it's just.
I want to speak about the attention of the.
So we'll have.
That's what I found. We put the TV up in the swap shop. I'm like, I'm just gonna hang out here and watch what goes on here. And I can't tell you, people just they look and they just keep going. Just like, wouldn't you just stop? I don't know.
Well, I think Brian makes a very good point, though, is, again, just to shorten it a little, if you need to pause for a second at the rear and say, this is where we're doing the fuel and ion maintenance and everything, and kind of put those all in one, and then move it around, I think you can probably cut out, 20% of the video and then put in the green space.
Okay. Well, I wanted just to show you that we're working on it and this will, by the next meeting, we'll have the whole thing kind of put together.
An overlay of the site layout.
That is slick, I don't know who got it in perspective and
I
everything.
know Marcos has done just a great job with these. It's just really,
That is very slick.
that being said, everybody, we're all right with putting poster boards up and, all the stuff that we've seen already and.
So is it you and I can coordinate which vendors you want, how many boards you want?
Yeah.
I have them mounted on phone for so that they're.
Right.
Viewable and.
Probably a one-page handout at the tables of the entrance to town meeting.
Yeah.
Just the picture and the. 411 of all the stats of the building.
Cost, yeah, that's one thing we haven't gotten into yet is costs. Where do we introduce that?
Regardless of the price, if I see no tax increase, I'm all for it.
Enterprise fund, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the bottom line. No tax increase. And that should be the front page of the thing, and then you flip down and see what the building looks like.
I think 90% of people are gonna be satisfied with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you care less if it was a box, a cardboard box, a dumpster container, as long as it's not a tax increase, I'm good with that.
Ice cream is very popular in town.
Yes.
We'd like to keep it that way.
Oh, we might have to truncate Dorothy's to pay for the building.
Oh, God.
It's like a ball beat every time. Yeah, no.
That's the guy who's closer to retirement.
Yeah. I was gonna say that anyway. Running.
But it's at least from HK, I would say, Councilman Mark, but he's done a very nice job on.
I know, I would like to get him at one of these meetings at some point to. He's done a really nice job, so, and I will pass that along to him for sure. All right, so we have a tentative next meeting date of the 30th. I will follow up with an email to everybody. Any other final comments, questions, concerns, gripes? Hearing none, motion to adjourn.
So. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.